How does the LA Sheriff Department differ from Orange County Sheriff Department in their approach and release?
First of all, thank you for, can you guys hear me? Thank you for inviting us to this. And,
thanks for being here.
Because I knew at the time it was, and I knew it was related to reports. I asked some people to work with me to help me out because I don't know everything. And to be honest, obviously, because one of the issues in this case has to do with releasing people at night, and that's the topic of this conversation or panel, I checked, or I had the people I work with check for me, the practices and current policies of neighboring county sheriff stations or police stations or actual jail facilities. And although I had heard that Orange County has a different practice than we do, we checked with Orange County, and as far as we could tell, their release practice from their main jail, and even from, if they do release from stations that I can't recall off the top of my head whether they do, I think they release centrally from the main jail, unlike us, because they're a smaller county. They released at all hours. We did find one agency, and I believe if I remember right, it's Ventura, that has some restrictions on the time of release for some of their prisoners. I don't remember the detail about it, but in checking with Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange, and I believe Kern, their practice mirrors ours. In fact, it's more the exception than the rule that police agencies would put a time limit on when releases occur, and probably for the same reasons. They're under the same legal mandates we are to release people promptly once they're cleared for release.
I'd just like to say that there's a distinction there, from my perspective, between releasing someone from a custodial facility and someone from a station. Especially under the current mandates and budget crisis, a lot of folks are getting released much earlier from a custody facility. So the concerns that you may have of keeping someone a little longer in terms of the differences between whether it's Orange County, LA County, Ventura County, most of those folks are getting some sort of early release. So from a legal perspective, they're not being deprived their right to freedom. From a station release, especially if it's based on some sort of minor infraction or something, the law sort of comes down on the side of, we want this person out much sooner rather than later, because you're depriving them of their freedom, and there's no sort of element of, they could have been held legally to stay in longer.
What efforts do deputies make, and what standards do they use to determine if a person has mental issues that might impede their safety upon release?
In my 35 years, the training about mental health has improved tenfold. And I came on in 1975, and I got training when I was 23 about 5150 of the Welfare and Institutions Code, which Ronda already discussed, and about the standards I'm legally authorized to use. And I basically told you what they are, and they're pretty sweeping, and they give us some discretion. And they are, if you suspect that a person is gravely disabled, or unable to care for their safety, or unable to care for the safety of others by virtue of a mental deficiency, we can take them into custody. Those are the three standards that deputies use. And of course, there's a host of training that goes along with telling them that simple fact that involves recognizing symptoms of intoxication, recognizing symptoms of medical problems that can mimic mental illness, and recognizing aspects of different forms of mental deficiency, whether it's due to depression or actual psychotic behavior, etc. So the standards they use are those that we both have in the state law and that we train them about. As I said, the training's become much more extensive and better over time. The efforts they make are the efforts that make sense. I mean, they ask questions. As I said, there's a screening form when people are brought into custody. Even before the people are arrested, if deputies are contacting people in the field, they talk to them. They observe what they can about physical symptoms, and they do their best to make an assessment. Back in the long time ago, decades before many of you were around, I've taken people into custody because I thought they might be mentally defective or deficient, and taken them to one of the 5 hospitals where at the time we were allowed to take them and have actual doctors decide, are they going to be committed to 72 hours of involuntary detention? And my batting average was something like 50%. I've taken people into custody who the doctor said, take them back where you found them and release them. And I was nervous about doing it, because even doctors don't always agree on exactly what the standards are. It's a pretty tricky business to be always right about that sort of stuff. So, but I think that's pretty responsive to the question. I hope it is.
Mitrice's mother specifically indicated that she would come immediately unless reassured that her daughter would not be released before the morning. And this is a quote. I don't want to have her dead with her head cut off. Quote from Mitrice's mom. How has this impacted your release procedures?
Okay, first of all, since we're this close to it, I'll tell you guys in the front row, I'm very sorry about what's happening. I'm extremely sorry that we haven't, in each case possible, fulfilled your hopes and expectations about what we should be doing. I know a lot of detail that I'm not allowed to talk about, and I'll explain to the group that it would give me great pleasure, and I think I can give some people a lot of peace of mind in here, if I did talk in detail about what I know about the 6 months since Mitrice became missing. But I'm precluded from doing so because there are two claims for damages for unspecified amounts filed against the county about negligence in this case, or alleged negligence in this case. And it would be irresponsible of me to talk about the case in a public forum outside of a courtroom, because we're probably, or very possibly anyway, headed for litigation about this release. So the question that the person who wrote that card out that I'd like to answer, I'm precluded from answering. I can't do it because we've discussed it at the department and with county council attorneys, and in every case of any kind of potential civil litigation, we're asked not to discuss it in public forums and only to get ready for discussing it in a rational manner in a court if that's where we're headed. So I apologize for being unresponsive. And to the extent I can, I really share some things with the family privately as I've been doing with Dr. Hampton, but I can't do it in this forum. So.
Okay, sorry. Is it safe to say that your independent review of a matter is for the benefit of the Sheriff's Department and/or Board of Supervisors, and not the public? And this is for Attorney Jones.
Surprising.
Surprising, yes, it's for Attorney Jones.
Well, the Board of Supervisors represents the county residents. But the whole idea is twofold. One is to help the department and the county do things better. The other is public safety. Ensuring that whatever can be done is done, so that the folks who visit, who live in this county are protected to the highest level. Initially, it may seem like it's a protection of the Board of Supervisors, but lawsuits, litigation, have an interesting way of ensuring accountability. If the idea is to make the community safer, then it should benefit the county with fewer lawsuits. So again, it's very much intertwined, but as a civil rights attorney, I don't work for the Sheriff's Department. I'm not a county employee. One of my biggest concerns is ensuring that the people that visit and live in Los Angeles are treated in a way that increases their safety and the public safety.
Okay, thank you. There's a...
I think someone else wants to speak.
Yes.
I'd like to add that one of the things that has really added new dimensions is the passing of the privacy laws. The privacy laws creates a dimension above and beyond what just normal function may be. So I'd like to bring that into it. Thank you.